Welcome to another amazing Wednesday. It's live and unscripted with your host, Jennifer and Leah. Leah's here today, so we're going to bring her actually right into studio and on camera instead of 3,000 miles away, right in her own screen. So it is October 18th. Super excited to have this conversation with our guest today, and we'll bring her on screen here in just a minute. For those of you who are coming to us from LinkedIn or YouTube, we say welcome. For those of you who are coming to us from our Righteous Rebel Facebook group, that's on Facebook, we say welcome. I have to say that now because one time I was saying that and I kept forgetting that I was confused. So welcome to our Facebook, the Righteous Rebels Facebook community. If you are coming to us from YouTube or LinkedIn, and you're not part of our Righteous Rebels group over on Facebook, we would encourage you to head on over to the Facebook group. Note to self, there is a Facebook page. That is not where we post things. You've got to actually go to the group, hit the join button. What's the sound? Boing. And then we'll let you in. Of course, my mom is calling right now. Leah, do you want to take over for just a second?
Oh, yeah. Are we going to do the breathing? Yeah. We'll start with the breathing.
Yep. Do announcements first.
Announcements. The river. Oh, yes. So our registration for a river trip is now open at www.therighteousrebels.com. You can find all your information there. We also have our challenge coming up, the 100 Days of Expansion. That's coming up really soon to get us into momentum to start strong for the new year.
Yeah, there's no reason to wait on that stuff. So we're going to just move into it powerfully in Rebel style.
Yeah.
I love it. Did you talk about the river trip?
Briefly. That registration is open and where to find it. And
yeah.
I didn't put it in the thing.
And here's the deal with that. Get yourself on the boat. Like, don't hesitate for that stuff. Just take the risk. Feel the fear and go to the page and start typing this stuff in and get yourself registered. I've heard so many excuses, and I'm just going to call it what it is. They're excuses, and it's fear talking. But I will tell you, this is an experience that will change your life. I still am having things will come up, and I'll be like, nope, I can do that because I did that. I swam the river. I swam the rapid. I paddled all of that. But even more than that, if you're a creative, if you're a speaker, if you're a writer, if you're a mom,
a coach,
whatever, this is such an amazing place to go and disconnect from all the bullshit. That was a beep. To just get yourself out of all of the junk of everyday living and actually come back to what real life is all about, which is right here inside of you. It's a place where you're going to experience calmness. You're going to experience nature in ways that you may not have experienced before. You're going to go through a section of canyon that actually feels like it's alive. And I think it's because it is. And that's all I'm going to tell you about that section of the river anyway. But if you want to have just an incredible experience of clearing your mind, actually being able to hear yourself think, hear your voice, hear your own voice, and to be able to feel what your heart is like this is the place. You want to come up with new speaking topics. You want to move forward in that book. If you're feeling stuck, you want to, your next presentation, have some amazing things as a coach to teach about that's different from what you're teaching, or maybe it will just enhance what you're teaching. And maybe you just need to have an experience away from it all. This is the place.
Learning how to trust yourself and listen to yourself again.
Yeah.
Because there's so much noise. And when you're in that kind of space, you're totally disconnected from any of this.
I just heard somebody go, I'm disconnected from everything. Are you kidding me? I'm not kidding you. And it's absolutely amazing. I tend to be one who gets caught up in time. And I only had the thought to look at my watch twice, which I don't wear a watch. But to look at my phone, and I didn't, because I thought, what does it matter? Time's going to move on no matter whether I look at the clock or not. So this is just an incredible experience for you to get back in touch with the amazingness that you and to do it in a really fun way. So head on over to where?
therighteousrebels.com, surviving leadership, and you'll find all your info there, and you can always reach out if you have questions.
And the other thing, like, all you have to do is pack your clothes, which will give you a list, and everything else is taken care of, and taken care of in like absolutely amazing ways. Food, you're not going to go hungry, and you're going to be so well fed by way of it's just you want to know more? Get yourself on the boat.
Yep.
Okay, enough of that. Time to breathe.
Yes.
I get all excited about that. It just, oh my gosh, it's life-changing. It really, truly will bleed into the rest of your life in beautiful ways. So let's just do simple box breathing today, where it is, you're going to breathe in on a 4 or 5 count through your nose, breathing all the way down into your belly, like into your hips. You're going to hold that inhale, same count. You're going to release that. So exhaling through your mouth for the same count, really pushing out all of the air from clear down into your pelvis all the way out, really feeling kind of the squish, and then holding that exhale. As you do this today, I'm going to invite you to just, find the places where you might just have some stuckness or some not feel good energies or just ickiness, and find those places in your body. And as you're breathing out, exhale those. Really, really see yourself, that energy pulling from the muscles or the sinews or the organs, and breathing it out. And as you're breathing in, I'm going to invite you to breathe in something that feels better for you. Maybe it's just a more peaceful energy. Maybe it's I can't think of the word. All of a sudden intention. I blanked. Yeah, your intention. It's energy towards something that you're creating or desiring to create. And maybe it's just that you just want to be present in this moment. So this is a beautiful opportunity to let go of anything that's already happened in this day, and to be present and let go of anything that you think is going to happen in the remainder of this day. Part of why I like this exercise, one, is it's a beautiful, simple practice that you can do many times a day, and just getting in the habit of breathing, letting your heart rate slow down, coming back into a coherent state, letting your mind slow down, letting your heart and mind become coherent, so that you get in the practice of being in a present moment to make decisions, to feel from, and to be more conscientious and conscious in decision making, and really coming from a place of heart versus a place of panic or anticipation or fear or whatever it is. So and it also lends to the beauty of these conversations, which are led by inspiration. There is no script, there is no set list of questions that we're going to ask. We really just go by heart. And by you participating in the breathing exercise, lends to just the spirit and the authenticity of these conversations. So from me to you, I say thank you for participating. As you do this, I'm going to invite you to do it with a downward gaze or closed eyes, whichever feels safest for you. And we'll do the first one with you, and then we'll have you let's do 3 sets on our own today. So taking that downward gaze or closed eyes, hand on heart is always a beautiful thing as well. Just that reconnection. Breathing in through your nose, 4, 5, maybe 6 count. Breathing in that feeling you want to breathe, holding the inhale. Exhaling through your mouth, taking that just icky feeling, kicking it out, and holding that exhale. And then on your own, in through your nose, holding, releasing through your mouth, holding, and repeating 2 on your own. Awesome. Finishing up. And when you're ready, feel free to open your eyes, coming back into presence. Oh my gosh. Thank you for doing that today. And I would love to hear what you experienced in like 30 to 60 seconds. What was your experience? Do you feel sometimes I like feel my clothing on my body, how it sits. I can feel like the pressure in the leg that I'm standing on, or I can feel my sit bones, or I definitely feel myself just chill because I get on here and I'm super excited to have these conversations. And sometimes that's how not sometimes, that's how my world works. I just get excited, and it's just such a beautiful thing for me to just feel that calming come while still having excitement, but speaking in a way that, oh, my words might come out more clearly. Leah, how about you? Like
I always just feel, I like how you explain the ickiness, and usually that manifests as pain in my body, or like I have a tension somewhere, and just giving attention to that, and I can feel some of that just move through, and breathing in just more calm. Like I always just feel more settled after. And our guest is gone. Oh, there she is.
We're like,
why don't we ask our guest how
I was going to say, we're going to bring Maija-Liisa on and see, and just let her share what her experience is with breathing in general. Maija-Liisa!
Hey, how are you, Jen?
Oh my gosh, I can
that
see it
shirt
better
is
now.
rad.
Jen, I wore this shirt because of you. Because when we went to the Bahamas last year, when we were leaving the airport, there was this huge spread of a peacock, and we took our pictures there. When I saw this, I thought I wanted it because I like the peacock colors. But today I'm like, I'm going to wear this for Jen.
I love that. Thank you so much. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to find those pictures and post them in this thread. That would be so fun. Thank you. And thank you for remembering that and bringing it to your remembrance. But that shirt that's rad.
Thanks.
That's rad. So Maija-Liisa, I saw Maija-Liisa's been hanging out in the green room. What was your experience with the breathing exercise today, or just when you do breathing exercises in general?
Well, breathing is something I have tried to work on more in the last, few years, and especially this last year. And it just gives you more of a grounding. I think one is just being able to feel different parts of your body. For me, I was a little anxious, and so it just also calmed me, brought the chill in. Because you said we're gonna have a chill chat today, so I had to get chill.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for doing so I can get chill.
Yeah, you're welcome. I had a feeling that you may be feeling some more intense emotions about coming on, and just because it's like, oh, I'm doing this thing, and even though we know each other, and sometimes that can be nerve-wracking. So I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Maija-Liisa actually is somebody that I know. I've known Maija-Liisa for quite a while. I was originally introduced to her person, to her name, whenever Charity had her conference.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You saw Charity's thing.
That was before.
Long time ago.
Was that before TEDx?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah. I think it was too. So it's been a while. And then I had the opportunity to meet Maija-Liisa through the TEDx program. And Maija-Liisa, I'm going to tell the story.
Okay, you tell the story.
So I have this, I'm human. And sometimes in my humanness, I don't always jive with the people around me. I know that you as a listener understand that as well. And depending on where we're at in our lived experience, sometimes, I could have met Maija-Liisa in a different part of my lived experience and had a completely different set of experiences with her. But because of where it was at and all the things, I felt some rub. And Maija-Liisa and I've had this conversation, or I wouldn't be sharing it today. But I have this practice of I tend, when I notice that I have a rub with somebody, I actually will talk with them and say, I'm bothered. I'm bothered.
Actually, I didn't do it for a long time, even though I could do it.
I didn't do it for a long time. And I think partly because just of what the situation was, and we weren't really in our circles together. It was like, come and do the business and then go your separate ways. but we had an opportunity through to go to Bahamas, and she's like, "Do you want to ride with me?" And did we have that conversation before? I pretty much said, Maija-Liisa, I feel a rub by you. And I want to understand
you
why.
rubbed me the wrong way. You rubbed me the wrong way.
Wait, I have to ask, how did you feel when she said that to you? Like, because that's not something that you come across very often. So what was that like to just have someone?
Maybe you haven't. Maybe you haven't come across it with that. No, what Jen said is that I have a wall up, that when we were working together, I was all business and not personal. And because of that, she wasn't interested in really hanging out or doing things, right?
Yeah.
And so when we reconnected business-wise, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this, but I got to tell you, I'd love to see you take some of that wall down, which India did.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciated that you were open enough to to hear me. And because I really feel like, well, I actually was told through spirit, inspiration, whatever you want to call it, like, give Maija-Liisa a second chance. Like there's more to this.
That's right. Sure. Yeah.
And you definitely, usually when I have those experiences, there's something powerful to learn from the person who I have the rub with, but I have to be able to be open-hearted enough and willing to take those steps to say, I'm bothered. Can we have a conversation? And I legit 100% of the time, I am usually humbled, and the message that they have for me is incredible. So, I just appreciate that you were willing to be open enough and willing to let some walls down so that I could get to know you, those parts of you better.
It's so brave to ask that though, or to say hey, because so often we just put on our nice face and we just go through the motions with the person. And then when we're gone, we're like, oh my God, I can't, we're freaking out. But to have someone approach and that they're not going to be offended, because there's that risk as well.
Absolutely.
They could be offended. They could take it the wrong way, but just that
she could have left me at the gas station. She could have said, hey, do you want to go get a drink? I'm going to fill up with gas. You can go get a drink. She could have driven off, but she didn't.
But I mean, really, that's really interesting. I don't think I've come across that someone outwardly says you have a feel, but someone comes up to you and says, hey, this, you're rubbing me the wrong way. And then to have an actual conversation about it, I think is so powerful. So go on. What else came from that?
That's powerful. And I do appreciate that. And there are a lot of times, Leah, people don't say anything, but we get each other instantly, right? Mm-hmm. We just have to be willing to say, oh, I get that. And sometimes we do put up a wall, and that's something that I have had. But honestly, the moment we were standing in that line after the meditation at the ashram before we spoke that day, and we were going through there, and my eyes connected with these older gentlemen. They just went like, oh, she saw me. And I felt seen. And then some older women, and then some young teenage boys. You remember what it looked like, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I remember seeing other people who were speaking with, who were also speaking, just with tears in their eyes and choked up. And then I remember these two little girls that just walked the whole way and didn't try and cut the line and wanted to have their picture taken with us. And I don't know, that very first time I looked in those guys' eyes and they just went like this, and my heart just went, just cracked open.
Right. I know. And you can't help it. It's like, whoa, what just happened? So for the listener who's new, Maija-Liisa and Leah and I were three of the speaking participants a year ago. Can you believe it's been a year?
I know.
I know, amazing.
On an India trip that we went to, and so that was a really beautiful reconnection. And Maija-Liisa and I also had the opportunity to do a Bahamas trip in regard to that, and so that's where the reconnection really started. And I'm not even going to call it reconnection. That's where our connection really started. It might have been a reintroduction, but it's where our connection really started. So Maija-Liisa, I always ask one question, and it's the only question that's planned in Live and Unscripted. Okay. So I'm going to ask it. And we'll just move forward.
We'll stop looking. I was trying to find a picture posted of India on my Facebook page.
Oh,
but there it is. That's why I was looking distracted. So that's me, and these two have similar pictures of us speaking there. I don't know if it's too much.
Put it closer to the camera, if you can. It's like really blurry.
Can you send it to
me,
there you
Maija-Liisa?
Go.
There you go.
That's a great picture.
Yeah, Maija-Liisa's in our camera. It's the left-hand corner, and then that's just hordes and thousands of people. We were told we spoke in front of 500,000 people. We were told other numbers as well, but I'm sticking with 500. So the question is this, Maija-Liisa, thank you for bringing up that picture. And yeah, if you'll send it to Leah, we'll stick it again attached to this program.
Okay.
What were you like as a kid, and what did you want to be when you grew up?
I love
that
question again.
What?
So I have two older brothers. They're like 5 and 6 years older than me. So I spent a lot of time alone. So I was outside though, climbing the trees and imagining and playing with my cat and dog and all those types of things. I lived on a ranch, and the house was here, and then down the hill was where the shop was, where my dad would work. No cell phones, of course, back in those days. So I was the messenger. So I would go down and tell my dad when an important call came. And I was excited to go down there, but then I didn't want to climb back up the little hill. It wasn't that big, but to a kid, it seemed like it. And so I also wanted to be an inventor. I wanted to invent kind of a personal rocket that would just take me and glide me back up to the house.
I love it.
So yeah, my dad said we had a 1,000-acre ranch, half farm, half ranch, and he loved to walk it, and his brother would come and they'd walk it. I didn't like to walk it so much. So when I started to drive, he said, "Yep, that's right. You have 2 feet, one for the gas and one for the clutch."
I love that.
I probably, my mom says, and I have this memory, I know this is my memory, but I'm watching TV and Billy Graham comes on and he's preaching from the Bible. And I'm out, and the living room's here, and just right out the side is our outside deck. And so it's summertime, and I'm out there just reading the Bible out loud, just preaching. So I think I wanted to be a speaker back then, and I wanted to connect people to God. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I remember being a teenager, and I very much also like, really the underpinning of everything I do is bringing people to a spiritual nature, whether that's, whatever is most comfortable for them to call it, because not everyone's okay calling it God. But that's always been part of my thing too. And I remember standing in my bedroom as a teenager, and I had this gold framed round, like oval mirror. And you remember when they had Mormon ads?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So in the religion that we grew up in, they were like, what would you call that, Maija-Liisa?
Well, we had magazines that were for adults, for the youth, and for kids, and so there would be ads of a good message that were in there.
Yeah,
they weren't getting any money; they were just kind of illustrated
points. Poster style, and they were all different, and they were kind of fun. Like as a teenager, like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I'd tear it out and I'd put it on my wall. So I had my whole wall full of people from the Mormon ads. And I had had 3 shelves of collectible dolls. Thank you to my grandmother. And then I had all my stuffed animals on my bed. And I would stand. I should have recorded them. I would stand and I would give the greatest orations to all these people that were like a totally attentive audience. They never talked back. I could have swear I heard them cheer many times. So I feel you. I was born to do this as well. I love that you're like, I can just see you out there holding your Bible. Just
yep, absolutely.
I mean, there 1,000 acres can hold a lot of people.
It can. And my mom herself, she said I always wanted to conduct an orchestra, and we had usually 200 cows. And they would be to the pasture, and sometimes right out of her kitchen window they'd come up on the canal bank, and when they did, she'd go out and she'd lead the cows as if she's leading an orchestra.
Oh my heck, that is awesome. I may talk to cows while I'm running.
Yes.
They make a good audience.
Mhm.
Oh
Leah,
my
I
God, that's
just
awesome.
WhatsApped you the photo.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, so tell me about like moving into the junior high years, junior high school. Like what was life like then? Like knowing as a little that you wanted to be an inventor and you know, bringing people to God and preaching good things. Like how did that move into like your junior high school years? Like did that stick with you? Did you
Yeah. So in 7th grade, I was a cheerleader. So I was
What?
leading people. And yeah, I was.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I had long blonde hair, very blonde down to my butt, and was a cheerleader. Yep.
Okay, remind me your background. I want to say Dutch, Danish,
Finnish.
Finnish.
Yeah. My mother was from Finland. Yeah.
Okay, yes,
Mhm.
the long blonde hair.
So I was always very active in all the clubs and organizations and any club that there was that I could do. I was in a small town, so I could be in many more clubs than most people. In fact, I got my yearbook out because we had a reunion, and I took a bunch of. I thought I'll take pictures for my kids, and I'm like, oh geez, how many clubs was I actually in? This was high school, of course, not junior high, but just always very involved, getting people together, wanting to be in the sports and dance and whatever's happening.
I love it. Did you hang on to? Did you still, you know, go out and give presentations and speeches? Did you still want to be like? Did that any of that follow through or?
Yeah, I was in this in speech and debate.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So it's still in there. It's still in there.
Big champion radio speaker.
Say that again.
They had this competition called radio speaking. So they'd give you all the news of the day, and then you had to put it together in a small little clip of 5 minutes. So I came up with my own commercial and put it in, and yeah. And the cool thing.
Wait, let's do that.
Okay, what am I doing?
Yeah, let's do that right now. What's the news of the day? Okay, how about this? How about this? Jen organizes her storage shed. What else? What else can we toss in there?
Made sushi.
Oh yeah, there was sushi making going on, not while organizing the storage shed. Last night there
would
was
have been something fishy going on.
Fishy, yes, yes. No, we had the gal from the lodge that we run the river trips through was here, and we were doing sushi. What else? Big long moves, and
something with
candy. Something with candy. Make it up.
Okay, all right. Coming live from Idaho Falls today, I need to let you in on the latest news. After a long trip from across the border,
whoa,
Jen and Leah are together in the same place because normally one's 3,000 miles away from the other. They ate lots of candy to keep them going. Is what fueled them across the way. Once they got here, though, things smelled kind of fishy and seemed kind of fishy. But they just found out that someone had brought them things so they could make their own sushi.
Oh, whew.
And that allowed them to have the stamina to tackle that dreaded storage cabinet.
That's awesome, Maija-Liisa.
You're still a champion, still a champion. That's awesome. That's really kind of a fun, like, I can just see you back then, like just soaking that in, and what a fun activity. So
there's someone that lives in my neighborhood now I also debated, and when she moved in, she's actually has become an attorney. And when she saw me, she's telling everybody in the neighborhood, oh my gosh, I remember her in debate with her suits and carrying her briefcase with all of her evidence in it. And I looked up to her and it was like, yep, those were fun times.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
That's awesome.
Like you totally embodied the whole
I totally
spirit of it. That's awesome.
So
how did that go ahead?
And when I was, like I said, I was in a lot of groups. So I was the drill mistress senior year. At the same time, I was on the speech and debate team.
Wait, what's a drill mistress for those of us who don't know what that is?
So in American sports, at halftime, they have some performance, and it's usually a dance team. At the time, it was a little bit more military type movement than it is.
I remember that.
Today. So the drill mistress is the head captain of that. So that our team of, how do we have 24, I think, or something.
You were a cheerleader and a drill mistress?
So I did cheerleading in junior high, but then I moved to drill team. Yeah.
I'm learning so much today.
I know how to move, Jen. You just didn't know that. So anyway, it is district drill team.
Hey, wait, time out. I do know that because I danced with you in India.
Oh, that's true. You do know that. We did dance. Leah, did we ever dance?
She wasn't part of that.
Yeah, you were part of that.
When we came, Melanie and there's a bunch of us there. I don't think you guys were there.
Yeah, when we were on Roverty, he created another little thing.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a video of Jen and I dancing with some other people that, it's on
in front of hundreds of young
the colleges.
So
Okay.
And some fun videos of us practicing. So yes, you do know that I can move.
Yes,
but I don't move as well as you do right now because. But I still feel it. I feel music every day, all day long in my body. Yeah, always moving, at least in my head, if not in person.
Maija-Liisa.
Yeah.
Can I say something that's making me feel very emotional right now?
Yeah. What?
I really appreciate how you're showing up. Like, I love this side of you.
Okay.
No, really. I love this side of you. And I love that this is how you're able to show up, that you're feeling comfortable enough to do that because it's so beautiful.
Well, thank
you. Beautiful. Yeah. There's a softness to you today that is just, it's
bright.
It's bright and beautiful. Man.
You asked me what I was like as a kid, and I said I did a lot alone, but I was just super playful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can picture you with like little pigtails.
Yeah. It was a spider. It was half of it. It was right up on top of my head like a fountain that came over my brother. Or a bun. My mom would make a bun.
Did you ever do the Princess Leia ones on the side of your head?
Oh my gosh. My mom being from another country, of course, I had to have my hair braided every which way. That was one of them. Usually it was my long hair was braided down the back and then I'd flip it up over. And so I had this braid in the back of it. My head. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I have a question. Like I just have this inspiration of like where I think I want the rest of, not that I want, but that would be a really beautiful place to take the rest of this conversation or a good chunk of it. But I want to know more about like, what was it like having a mom who grew up or was from another country with all of her traditions and the ways that she was brought up, and you're living in America, and if I remember correctly, your dad actually was a diplomat to Finland.
Yeah, he was. Mm-hmm. He was Reagan's ambassador to Finland.
Reagan, yeah. That's pretty incredible.
It was really incredible. And what would I say? My mom was very much a lady. So everything, even though she lived out in the country where there's a lot of dirt. So I just recently had my birthday. And so I was telling the story to someone that when I was 3, it was potato harvest every year around my birthday because it's in October.
Yep.
And when you're digging potatoes, you usually bring a treat out to the crew like at 3 p.m. So because that day was my birthday, my mom had made a cake. She drove out to where the field was. She set out, everything was a presentation to my mom. Everything was beautiful because she said 75% of what you eat is with your eyes.
Yes.
So she's all excited because she can see the harvester out there, and my dad's getting closer and closer and closer. And when he stops, the dust keeps going and going and going and lands on top of the nice white birthday cake she has made for me. And she's horrified. And thereafter, I always had bundt cakes that had no icing that she could just hand to the crew instead of it all. But yeah, presentation and appearance was very important to her. And I was always felt a little excited because I had this extra thing that others didn't, but also a little bit different because I had this extra thing that others didn't.
Yeah.
And I grew up a lot of my time having people come into our home because of their connection to Finland or wanting to know about Finland. My mom and dad entertained a lot. I was her sous chef and cleaner and her sous chef to get ready for those parties. About every 2 months, we'd have somebody.
Do you prepare Finnish food now?
I do prepare Finnish food. Yeah.
Do you want to have a date?
Sure. Let's eat.
Like that's like I'm legit extending an invitation to come to the house and have a date.
Okay.
And we'll be your sous chefs.
Okay, great.
I think it'd be neat to have an experience like that, like we did with the gourmet tinfoil gourmet.
Oh yeah.
And then Maija-Liisa can share about her history, and that can be a whole thing.
Snap.
Right, there you go.
Watch for that, friends.
I love tinfoil dinners, by the way. I grew up doing camping and stuff. My mom would be the glamping, but I would be the camping type person.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind glamping, but I love to, you know what? There's just something spectacular about being one with the earth, which is why the river trip is absolutely incredible.
Oh, when you guys were talking about the river trip, I have to tell you, so my birthday that just happened, my friends and I, we went to Sun Valley. And after we left Sun Valley, we're going up towards Stanley, which you guys won't know where it is. But if you know Utah, Sun Valley is kind of the park city of Idaho. It's kind of a, skiing place wherever you're from.
A lot of very wealthy, well-known people reside there, or part-time reside there.
Part-time reside there, yeah. Peekaboo Street, I used to follow her as an Olympian. We actually named our dog Peekaboo. So I visited Peekaboo, the city that's been named, and found her street. But anyway, the next day when we took off, more towards the country and all these peaks, Mount Bora and so forth, they're like, that's where the Salmon River starts. I'm like, what? Okay, so we got out and I took a picture, and it's just this little tiny thing. And then as we went all day long, it's just getting bigger and bigger. And then we came to this one place, and they're like, this thermal water comes into the Salmon River. So I'm like, we're stopping. I'm getting in. It wasn't a place where you actually commercial or anything. It's just a little place.
Sunbeam.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. And so I got out, and we didn't have time to do anything. But I'm like, you guys are come on, let's get in the warm stream. So anyway, I got down there, got my feet in it, and it was cool. So being on the river is really cool, and it's so fun to just think about. Here's the beginning of the Salmon River and how it gets bigger as you go along.
Right. And then to be in the place where it's got all the kinds of waves that it has, knowing, and it's like, my mind just went boom. What kind of life lesson is that? Like, things start small, but then it's like this raging, but it also has these lovely little things along the side. Like, hello, life. Okay, so I totally cut you. You were your mom's sous chef.
Oh yes. So they would have people over. The the missionaries from our church who were learning the language studied nearby. So we would bring them out every 2 months, and she would serve Finnish food, and my dad would serve his mission slides, and they'd have a Finnish sauna bath. And I especially enjoyed the ones during the summer because they would play a touch football game. And having two older brothers, they had taught me to play football. And so these missionaries had no idea that I could play football. So I was a lot younger, and I'd zip in, and pull their flag, like, dang it, what are you doing?
That is, you don't show your whole hand when we're learning the game.
Oh yeah,
Maija-Liisa had her.
This one time, literally, they finally got disgusted, and so one of them, he just took me and put me and held me up until the play was over.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Yep.
Okay. I feel like
disgusting.
I feel like there's a ton we could talk about there. And I think what we'll do is we'll save some of that when we create an event with you here soon, where we'll let you share more of that stuff, and we'll have Finnish food. I think that sounds absolutely spectacular. But the question that comes to my mind as you were talking a little bit ago is you talk about being this like totally playful, creative, inventive. I feel like I'm feeling you today. I feel so emotional. And I think because this is something that touches all of us at some point or another in our lives. It's like, the question is, when I met you, I knew nothing of Maija-Liisa. I just knew the Maija-Liisa who was presenting herself the way she was presenting to a group of people, and all professional, and just, it was like I wanted to get to, but I couldn't. That's how it felt. I wanted to, but I'm like, I just. So
It must have been especially hard for you, who was trying to teach people to play, to like, oh, I can't get her to loosen up, right?
Yeah, well, and because of what I was then ended up presenting, but also, so it's like the question is, where did that shift for you, Maija-Liisa? Like when did the walls start coming up to the point that this playful, inventive, not that it was gone, but it's shoved behind a wall or built into a like. When did that shift for you? And do you how like kind of walk us through that? Like, how long did you stay in that space? Did you even recognize that that was happening? And because I think a lot of times my own experience is I didn't even recognize really that it was happening until I was like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. Like I can't. Will you go there with us? Like,
yeah, I think throughout your life, well, at least for me, there's certain times you're supposed to behave a certain way in certain settings. And so you do that.
Well, and I would imagine with your religion, because I lived it too, there is definitely some standards. Having your dad be a diplomat, I would imagine, had a certain set of like decorum and rules. And yeah.
So you have to behave a certain way according to a certain situation. But I'm a more of a casual, just playful person. And when I come home, the first thing that goes off is the jewelry and all the what we used to wear, pantyhose, that type of thing.
It's like, let's be real, the bra,
the dress clothes go off, and I become casual. And so, but I know how to show up in different settings because that's what you're taught to do.
Yeah.
And so I go in and out throughout my life. The recent things that have happened were actually part of it, like I said, cracking my heart open a little bit in India. And then just, so I told you that I'm a praying person, I'm a religious person. And so when I pray every day, I just wanted to deepen my prayers a lot. So the first thing I did was I set a timer and made myself stay there for a certain amount of time. And it was hard at first, but then now it's like, oh, I'm done already, right? But there's another thing is, you have conversations with people, but I wasn't having that type of conversation with God. I wasn't sharing my feelings. I wasn't sharing my hopes, my fears, my dreams, my expectations, where I'd been hurt, where I was excited. And I started doing that.
Oh, I love it.
In the prayers?
In the prayers, yeah. So the beginning of the prayers is like, just like if we were hanging out and I said, oh, I'm worried about this, I'm excited about this. What I would say to a girlfriend like you guys, I just started saying to God.
And I remember a point, in my life about 12 years ago, maybe a little more, where I said, I was wanting that relationship you're talking about instead of a God who's just always waiting to punish me. That's how I viewed it at that point. And I remember saying, hey God, just so you know, I'm not going to use thee and thine and all the proper words in here. I'm going to talk to you like I talk to my best friends. And you're going to sit in the car with me and you're going to run in the hills with me, or we're going to go biking together. We're going to, you're going to hang out on my bed and read a story. So I really appreciate what you're saying there, because I have experienced that myself, and it changes things.
It does. I remember sitting in seminary, which is kind of the high school version of a Sunday school, like when you're in high school, and saying, if you didn't know what to pray for, then pray and ask, what should I pray for? Like, what question should I ask you? So I've been, going through learning more about prayer for a long time. Specific questions are important. Another journey I went on is, especially as a mom, I realized with 4 kids within 5 years, they kind of went to school and came back from school all together. And so they'd come in, I didn't even address them as their names. I would just say, how was your day, or something like that. But then I didn't even stay to listen. I just turned back to the water and continued scrubbing the potatoes for dinner or something like that. So I had to learn to ask a specific question and then stick around for the answer.
That part right there.
Yeah.
That's challenging when you're busy.
And that's not only with people, but also with God. I would ask him for something, but then I didn't.
See ya. Time's up.
Exactly. And so then it's learning, okay, now I know. You want me to do what? You want me to do what?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not brave enough to do that, or I don't know how to do that, or they wouldn't want me to do that. All these stupid thoughts come in.
What's
stupid thoughts?
Yeah.
The most surprising thing that you've been asked to do?
Well, I don't know if it's the most surprising, but the most recent that was like definitely an answer was I was approached for India to find people who wanted to go, not to speak initially, because he was looking for people who might have done a TEDx talk, and he knew that I coached them. And then we said, aren't you coming too? So it's kind of late, and I'm thinking time, money, everything else. I'm teaching. I'd have to get, all the things like, I can't do it because of this, can't do it because, can't do it because I'm like, okay, I'm just going to ask. So I prayed. And I remember not having someone, because my husband's passed away, to like really talk that through with either. I called a trusted friend and I said, just to kind of get a baseline, I'm like, I'm not going to do what you say, but I just want to kind of get opinion. And then after that, I went and prayed again. And that was an evening, and my daughter and her husband and little boy were coming up to visit the next day. And we went up to Mesa Falls. And Mesa Falls is a really beautiful waterfall. If you've ever been up in Idaho and haven't seen Mesa Falls, you need to go there. Very powerful. It's actually where my dad proposed to my mom.
Oh,
so anyway, we went there, and it's loud. It's mist is happening around, and so I just kind of.
Have you been there in winter?
No, I haven't. Is it awesome?
Oh, it's the mist that you're talking about is frozen like thick all along the walls and the shrubbery. Maybe that's something we can work on.
Probably the reason I haven't is my mom said it was May when she came to Idaho from Finland, and he wanted to take her on a drive, and there was still a little bit of snow, and they got stuck and had to get. So I'm like, you don't go there unless it's beautiful. That's probably what has filtered me from doing that. So
yeah.
Anyway, I just kind of put my arms around my daughter and her husband, and they had their son on the back, and I just said, let's just be quiet for 30 seconds and really take in the sound and the feel and everything. And right then, just like behind me, I don't know if I share this with you, Jen, or not, but the words go to India. I'm like,
actually, you did share that with me. Yeah.
And so I did.
You were connected in an embrace, and then you felt that.
Yeah. And I had another opportunity to go to Italy with my current mentor. And again, I'm thinking, okay, I'll pray about it. I wasn't going to speak. I was going to go watch him speak. So again, it's like the time off from teaching school, and how can I figure this out? And all the stupid thoughts come in. I'm like, okay, I'll ask. And I asked, and it was that, you should go to Italy. Like, really? And then even after that, I kept saying, I don't think I should, because I started arguing with God for 3 weeks.
Right.
And literally, it's the week when I should be going. And he's already in India himself, coming to Italy, thinking I'm going to be there. It would just not leave me alone. So I stayed until I booked the flight, booked my hotel. That was on a Monday. I taught my class on Tuesday. I left on Wednesday. I spent the rest of the week. I got home at 4:30 in the morning Tuesday in time to teach my 8 o'clock class again. So I didn't have to get a substitute.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And when I got there, it's this 3-day event that I'm just going to go watch. And my mentor plus his mentee who he was watching, this is your first time to Italy? And you're not going anywhere? Yeah, I just came to see you guys. No, you're not allowed to come to the third day of the conference. Where are you going, flying out of Venice? Okay, you're getting on a plane or on the train tonight. You're going to Venice, and you're going to spend the day there and fly out. You're not coming back. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
And so I'm like, Heavenly Father, how do I spend this day? Because it's just me. And literally, he led me to all these places. Right. And so I love to be where I really can feel things, where I'm at. And so I did. And I wanted to eat out in a cafe. And I was led to this really cool exhibit of this guy who had spent 20 years of his life taking all the different stories about Christ, the things that happened. And he had made dolls, and I guess they're like this big, and this tall, each of those, and just like filled my soul, and just everything I can just see like, yep, he was just leading me the whole way, which filled me. So it's just having more of a relationship that way and however that is for anybody, just being willing to say, well, I'm worried about this. And because you have expectations, like, okay, I got a day in Venice, all these expectations. He's like, don't worry about those things. Let me lead you.
Just to be in a place where you're quiet enough to hear it, and not only hear it, but learn to trust it.
Yeah.
Is just incredible. And that allow yourself to be led and allow yourself to just take it all in.
So the question pressing my mind right now is, does God want you to come on the river?
thought you weren't doing any sales on this call. I don't know.
I'm asking you to ask God.
I will ask.
No, I would love to have you. I just think you're talking about feeling and being in places that you can feel, and you know, again, we're talking about where did life shift that then there's all these walls that actually block all of that feeling. And no, I can't say all of it. That's not a fair statement. It blocks a lot of it. And you're like, I enjoy being in these places where I can feel it. And I just think, oh my gosh, I can think of so many places in the week that we had that you would just be like,
yeah,
like legit.
You know, when you bring that up, I flash back to being in Finland with my mom. When I graduated from high school, she took me to Finland. And there are these two men that she knew that I didn't know that were taking us on this tour of the city and everything. And I remember I didn't say hardly anything, but I was just taking it all in. I was just feeling it, but I wasn't expressing it. And after they left, she said, they wondered if you enjoyed it. I'm like, are you kidding me? My eyes were doing this and my senses are, but you didn't show it. And so I've had to take what's always in me and learn how to.
Okay. So how have you done that? How have you pulled back the curtain, taken down the wall so that you can be expressive? Or maybe it's this, Maija-Liisa, maybe it's more about feeling safe to share those things inside you, because sometimes that stuff is sacred and it's really vulnerable to share that. And mine presents a lot as tears because it's such intensity. How did you, or how are you learning how to do that for yourself and for the people who are around you who want to get to know you?
It's first just having that desire to do it and to try and be more authentic about what I am really. Because if people don't know, then they don't know me. And there are pieces, like you said, I didn't know there's this side to you. I don't know this piece about you because I didn't feel safe sharing those things. And so it's first having a desire, then allowing myself to do it, and then practice. It comes with practice. I mean, when you started talking about the river, I'm like, oh, here comes up the wall again. Like, don't make me a decision about the river. Although inside, I'm already thinking, I want to go on the river too. But my mind's going, okay, figure out how to do that.
Right, trying to protect us.
Yeah, goes to all of that stuff. And you just have to get quiet and say, okay, I have a decision to make. This is what I think I should do. This is how I feel about it, the pros and cons. My mind goes so fast between what you should and shouldn't do and why somebody wouldn't want you to do this and whatever. So I have to say, what is it I want? And what is it you want me to do? And that's what matters most.
And how do you find yourself in quiet enough places to feel, I'm going to use the word, to feel those decisions and to then take the step?
Well, it's different because always people are around, but at this point, there's no one in my house except me and my cat. So I have long strokes of that. When I came to practices the most is when Brad was in the hospital, because it's COVID time and nobody could be inside. And so I had to rely on God. Is there something that he needs? Is there something I could do? And act on it. So I already knew how to do it, but it was a several days in a row practice of doing that. And I was astounded at some of the answers that I got. And, and how to do that. Oh, I've never thought of it that way. Because the traditional way is when a loved one is in the hospital, you're right there.
Right.
Like when my mom would be in the hospital, my dad would be there during the day and I'd stay at night. We didn't leave her alone. Mm-hmm. Nobody could get in March of 2020 or April of 2020.
Would you share some of those ways that you were able to be there?
Let me think of ones that I could share because some of them are pretty sacred, but
sure.
Mm-hmm. Just even then switching to asking, because my kids didn't live here either. They were in different places. So it would have been different. It had been years before and all 6 of us were here, but we were all, and so it's like really praying to say, I know that they're hurting. They don't know how to express it. They've never gone through death like this before, or not. Well, it wasn't death, but a trauma. It became death, of course. Is there something I should know about? And I go through each child. And there was a very specific, interesting is I have 4 children, there were 4 answers. And so then I had to do different things for each of them. And sometimes it was a general one. And I'd say, could you give me one clue on how I could do that? Because that's pretty broad, right? Others were very specific. And what that does is it helps you get a glimpse of what they might be feeling and needing that they don't feel safe or don't know how to express to you. And I can't really think of one that I would dare share. But
Yeah,
that's okay.
Totally respect that.
What I did do is when I'd ask it, then I'd write it down, and then I'd make sure I do it. And if I didn't know how to do it, then I'd go back and ask, what's one way I could do this? What's one step I could take? I think that's a lot of it, is just asking, what's the next step I should take? And it's never it's getting out of that mode of I need to do this for them, or they need this, or whatever. It's like just asking, is there something? And if there's not, fine. Is there something today that I should know? Something today that I could help him or one of the kids or something with?
Just thinking of asking is so powerful. Like it's simple, but just to stop and listen, and that we already have that knowledge within us without going outside of ourselves. And that's just incredible. I think of going to funerals or handling tough emotions with people who are going through like cancer and stuff. And I find myself like want to lock up, and I don't know how to be supportive. I feel like no matter what I say is wrong, or but I just think it's so powerful to just ask the question of yourself and let that answer bubble up within you.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because a neighbor of mine has a counseling center, and he went through a deep grief of losing a stepdad. He didn't realize it was in grief. And so he shared with me that sometimes our grief there's grief that can come even not from someone dying. It can come from anything that changes.
It can come from change of relationship, or loss of a job, or
and what we really grieve are the hopes and expectations that we had for ourselves or for that person or for us together. But at the end of that book, it's called The Grief Recovery Method. At the end, it talks about, okay, it's a funeral, Leah, and you're going through, you don't know what to say, and you say, oh, they're in a better place, and you as the person who's lost them just wants to slug them, right? Like, don't say that to me. And it says that what we want to do is we just want to say whatever we want to say. We want to express something. And so for us that are going through, who aren't the ones who have lost the loved one, it's like, that sounds hard. Or what do you miss most? Or how do you think you'll handle that? And so I've taken that approach more now with my kids and with people that I interact with, instead of, I'm so quick to tell you what to do, right, Jen? You got to do it, cut this, do this, whatever. Instead of just saying, what do you feel about that? And how do you think you could strengthen it, or what could you do different? But it just helps.
I love too that you appear to have kept it in a more present moment. Like, what does today hold?
Yeah.
Like, what can I do today? Versus like, we get so caught in futuristic stuff, like we forget to be present and what can we can only do in this moment.
Well, I always feel so stuck in a loop trying to solve all of the problems about everything for everybody in my family and get overwhelmed. It's like, okay, so what's one thing I could do today? And sometimes even with kids, this was an idea that I got from someone I lived in Utah, is they actually had 7 children. So each day it was one kid's day. So they focused more on the one child that day.
Wow.
And so that was
I would be interested in having that conversation, like with the mom and the parents and the kids. Like, how did that work in your family? That would make amazing conversation.
Mm-hmm, it would.
If any of you out there have done that or know someone who does or has, let me know. I would love to chat with you or to those people and have that conversation, because that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to just hear. I haven't heard that before, just how that dynamic would work.
Because sometimes it's just like we have to schedule with our time. If we feel overwhelmed, we just have to say, okay, what's one thing I could focus on? Or is there one of my kids, more than one, that needs a little bit extra today? And then what is that? Or we do what? How do I do that? What's one step I could do to get started? I really think of everything that comes down to it's just being willing and taking action and reevaluating and deciding. And I will just say that I've worked with so many amazing people giving such great ideas on the stage that every time I meet with someone, it's like, oh, I know why I'm working with this person, or this is a little piece that will help me along the way somehow.
I love that. And I love that you get that opportunity. P.S. Maija-Liisa is a TEDx coach. Um, as you were talking, this question came to mind of when did you start seeing the value of taking care of you versus everybody else, and how did you start doing that for yourself? Because I think this is my opinion and my experience of growing up in the culture that you and I grew up in.
Yep.
It's kind of taught you take care of everybody else, and you're last. And um, I very much have had to learn how to not be responsible for other people's feelings, and to make sure that it's the oxygen mask. You really do have to put yours on first in order
Exactly.
to take care of everyone else. When did you notice that for yourself, and how did you start taking those steps? Because me personally, how I see you today versus the woman that I met in 2019 it's very different. And I know for a fact that taking care of you is a part of that journey, and a part of that I'm going to call it transcendence.
Yeah, because at the time you met me, I was taking care of myself in terms of like I'd go walk or exercise every morning. But I think it's just they're different aspects, and so you might close off in other ways, but open up in some. And it's, I mean, truthfully, feeling like everything's taken away to know what to put back in.
Been there.
Yeah.
Been there. I have deep respect for that, and deep respect for the listener who has had that experience, and deep respect for those of you who will have that experience, because I'm a firm believer that at some point or another in our lives we get to have that experience.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that things have to fall apart so you can rebuild them,
Mm-hmm.
and take your history and the things that you've learned and build, a stronger foundation, and start over with the new stuff.
And absolutely. And the thing is, you can't change anyone. You can only change yourself, and you can only change yourself, I feel, if you're really working on it, and you're doing it in an inspired way. Because there's so many things, like there's so many river trips I could go on, or there's so many different ways I could breathe, or there's so many different ways. It's like, okay, of all these, which one feels the best, or which one works the best, and having to do that. And the main thing is taking personal responsibility. I mean, I guess to bring it full circle, when you said that to me, it just, I was already on that journey, but you just have to stay on the journey. That gave more impetus to keep on that journey. And there have been many other things that have been a part of it too. Yeah. It's just being
well. And I learned that I later learned that when I met you, you were just kind of at the precipice of all of that shifting and changing that was really big in your world. And being in the settings that we were in, I wouldn't know that, and you wouldn't have any opportunity really to share that, or any reason to share that with me. And so it was really fascinating to learn, to start asking the questions and say, I know there's more to you, like, and I'm curious, and to start recognizing and seeing, like, whoa, when I met you, this is the stuff that was going on then, and that was hard stuff, and not easy for anyone to go through. So I just have mad respect for that, and I appreciate that I listened, and that I gave myself the opportunity to get to know you better, and all of these just yummy, delightful pieces of you that are more playful, and that do spread joy into the world, and that don't necessarily have to have the decorum of standing as a diplomat's daughter, or holding up a piece of rules or regulations. Or I love this side. Yeah, professionalism.
Professionalism.
Cloak.
Because we all have certain values that we live by, and things that you want to change. But yeah, it's being able to. I don't know why this comes to mind, but when I came back from Finland, I was at Utah State, and I was asked to come to speak about social graces. And I'll say this first. When I first moved into my apartment at Utah State, my clothes were being shipped from Finland, and they arrived one day, and I came home that day, and my roommates had opened them all and were trying them on because they were so curious what the daughter of an ambassador wore. Yes.
Oh, wow.
That is ballsy.
I was, yeah. It was all instigated by one roommate's friend. Not all participated in it, but they were
Not
curious.
intrusive.
But then I dated this guy who later I got to know his daughter, and he said, and he just talked about how he never quite knew who was going to show up, whether it was going to be Queen Elizabeth, that type of thing, or Goldie Hawn, because he got to see those parts of it. And so you just kind of shift. But anyway, back to the social graces, what I said is, like, I like to dress casual just like anybody else, but you need to know what the situation is and do it. But for me now, 20 years, some years past that, is to just say, you still want to be authentic, even if there are certain,
yes,
in how you interact with people and so forth, and how you wear whatever it is you're wearing. Just being more authentic. And it was really hard when I first started going back to teaching school, and I'm teaching public speaking, I'm teaching storytelling, and I'm teaching about being vulnerable. Like, you suck at being vulnerable. And so I also see God's hand in putting me there, so I would be exposed to it all the time. And so it starts out by me saying that you should do it, and then having to try and practice it. And I'm trying to, keep it.
That's usually how it works. We learn it, and then we get practice grounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
But that's how I see it anyway. Like, learn a concept, and you're like, wow, this is so amazing. And then he's like, yeah, let's see how amazing it is. And now you get to practice.
Yeah. And that's it. You just have to say, okay, this is how I want to, this is what I want. And then I just have to keep asking, what's the next step? What's the next step?
I love it. Okay. So we're close to probably being done. I mean, we could talk forever,
right?
We do try to keep, a certain time regard. Yeah. Your dream job. And I know it's not what you're doing. I want to know what your dream job is.
So what I'm doing is coaching people to speak. And I was just asked this question actually yesterday, like, to describe it in detail. And it does go back to being on stage, me being more of the speaker and doing
that. Absolutely. And teaching what though, Maija-Liisa? Because this is the part of that when we were having a conversation a year ago, mm-hmm. and I looked at you and I'm like, shit, that is not. Why are you not doing what you love?
Yeah.
Well, what is it that you love? What is it that you love to stand and present about? And like, you have your Bible, like, what is the word that you love to share that just makes your heart like crack open even more and grow 10 sizes in your chest?
We've kind of talked about it today, as I really do want people to know that God lives and that he hears and answers prayers, and you can ask him and you can have a relationship, and that will make your life better because you're doing it with the coach of all coaches, the mentor of all mentors, our Father.
Right.
And right. That is more challenging to speak about, of course, in most places, unless it's in a religious setting.
Yeah.
So it's really, just yesterday I had the conversation, like, what would I really want to talk about is just, I think, imposter syndrome, feeling like that we don't allow ourselves to do things, and what stops us is feeling like we're going to be judged. But there are certain rules, and how would I have deep enough to say,
right?
Why would you to me? That's one of them.
I feel you. Yeah, I feel you. I think those are really awesome things to talk about, and to be able to do it from our own experiences of like, oh my gosh, I felt like this, but this is what I'm able to do, and how we go around that. I love, one of the things that I love to talk about is, in speaking about God, is I'm a full-on believer. And again, you as a listener, if the word God doesn't work for you, put in whatever word feels good for you, and totally okay with that. And honor and respect that. But I'm a full-on believer that we're godlets. I tell people we're godlets. Like, we are God. If that's the story that you believe in, and we carry his energy, we carry his DNA, we carry his everything. We're godlets, and we just have forgotten that. It's like the ocean, and how it evaporates and it drops back down as rain. It's all part of the ocean. It's all part of the system. And we just have forgotten, the
Okay, what's your favorite form of water, Jen? And Leah, you answer the same thing.
My favorite form of water?
Yeah.
Like body of water or
No. Just the way water expresses itself.
Oh, dang.
Water.
I don't know. I don't have favorites. I don't have favorites.
Okay.
I like them all for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I love waterfalls.
Oh,
does that count? Waterfalls are a huge one for me.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel super centered and they're awe-inspiring.
Yeah. I agree. I read a book once called
It's upstairs.
Hind's Feet on High Places. And in there I think it's in there, it talks about waterfalls and how, I think it was in that book. I just love how daring water is and how unabashed water is. And I remember sitting in the hot springs that you were talking about earlier. I went on a week-long sabbatical from my life because I needed a sabbatical from my life. And I remember sitting there watching, there's this ginormous rock right in the center of the water there, and watching the water just go, and it bumps up against it, and it doesn't be like, I've run into an obstacle, like, I can't, it just bumps into it and it moves on. It bubbles and it makes a different sound. And I love that part of running water. It just keeps going.
Yes.
And I love the stillness of frozen water. Mm-hmm. And that sometimes we just need stillness. We want to make it a bad thing, or like we're not going anywhere. And sometimes we just need to be in the stillness of that, because what happens to it? The sun shines and it melts back into regular water. And but the ice,
it kind of pauses it too, because growing up on the ranch, there was a creek and there was a canal. The canal was for irrigation, and it was right in front of our home. And in the wintertime, again, my brothers were older, and there are no neighbors around, no playmates out there. So I'd get my snowmobile suit on. I'd go out on the canal that's all completely frozen. I'd lay down there and look at all the bubbles and the leaves.
Right.
I'd scrimp, keep going several feet down, exploring it. Yeah. Because it's going to be all melted in a few months. So
I love it. Do you have a favorite form of water?
It comes from being Finnish, and most of their designs come from nature. And there is this glassware that has like the drips, the condensation, the beadlets that go underneath. And so that's what my go-to kind of is with water. But I love still water. I love moving water. I love waterfalls. But that kind of represents a lot of it, because there is texture in life to it. It's not just.
Yeah.
Ray says water is the most powerful force on the planet.
I love it. And you know what I love about still water? And I got to be reminded of this. Did we kayak yesterday? Yesterday, on the 16th, so Monday, it was so beautiful here that it was like maybe 68, 70 degrees, no wind, and I'm like,
wow,
let's go put the boats out, and put the kayaks out. But what I love about it is the reflections. You get to see the reflections of everything and how it looks the same, but it's different. And so just the stillness of the water that way, but without being frozen, and how that represents and how we can give that to other people in our own still. Like there's just, I love that you brought up water.
And I think that day for me was the way the sun was shining, and it made the water look sparkly.
Glistened.
Like it was magical looking.
And there were lots of bubbles, Maija-Liisa, behind the kayak. When you're behind a kayak, there's bubbles that come from the boat moving through it and from the paddles in the water. Like, we'll take you kayaking.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
Thank you so much. If you were to leave us with just like last bits of wisdom, let's do 3. What would be 3 bits of wisdom that you either live by or that you just love and would like to pass on to the audience? And one of those could be get on the boat.
It could be, yeah. Let's see. 3 pieces of wisdom I'd leave with you is like, take personal responsibility, because this is your life, but no one can live it for you. Don't wait around for other people. Don't wait around for opportunities. Make them happen.
Hold on. Is that all part of one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Leah's frantically typing.
Yeah, so take personal responsibility, right? Take personal responsibility.
I love that. And there's so much power in that.
There is. And to do that is to evaluate. You have to, there's so much that goes into planning, there's so much that goes into executing, but an area that I wasn't doing was I wasn't self-evaluating. I wasn't looking at, okay, I can see this, and so I want to change this. So if you want to be better at something, you have to be honest about where you're at and claim where you're at with it as well.
Absolutely. And that piece, you get to be honest with yourself about where you're at, and no judgment. It's just recognition, like, whoa, this is where I'm at, and how did I get here? If you even know, and like, what do I want to do to create that shift and that change?
Yeah, one of the shifts too is, like you said, how you saw God more as a punishment, and you talked about how I was going through a lot of things when you first met me in 2019. What shifted for me too is just to realize, in my head I knew how loving he was, but he's just so loving and so happy for us, and not.
Okay, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how do I ask this? Because we don't feel with our heads. So you said, in my head, I knew how loving he was. Is it true that you knew how loving he was? Or was it a matter of you'd been told how loving he was? And
yes,
now
the thoughts and the words and everything, that's what I knew. But I didn't know until I felt it and could combine that and see it.
Yeah. That's what I wondered. I appreciate you clearing that up, because I think I probably had similar things. I had said the words so many times.
Yeah.
I know it. But until I really took the chance to, one, be honest with myself, are these, do I actually know this? Or is this just what I've been told and taught my whole life? And then to like really take the actions to be like, oh my gosh, I actually been able to experience what that is, and to feel that shift and that change. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah. And I don't remember what I was going to say with the third one. So
responsibility. Don't wait around for opportunities.
And just take action. I mean, when I was in India, I don't know if either of you remember anything about mine, but because there had been loss and some things didn't get done in this lifetime, I felt very compelled to say, don't wait to do it.
I do remember that.
Yep.
And then having coached someone who was fearful but did it anyway, and then also passed away, their words live on. Yeah. And so whatever you want to invent, whatever you want to write, whatever you want to speak, don't wait. Don't let all those critics inside of your head get there.
I think you used a line, tomorrow's promise to no one. Because I made a little cube of it for everyone that was in India, and that was the one I made for you. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yes. Thanks for having me on here. I'm so glad.
Oh my gosh, Maija-Liisa.
India, and that I'm going to come down to where you're at, and we'll have some finished food together.
Yeah, I'll get a hold of you here. Maybe let's just start.
Get on the boat. Just go to therighteousrebel.com and get on the boat.
What she said right there. That is radio talk winning right there. I love
it. I'll write you a commercial.
Oh, yes, I can't wait. And then we're doing that on finish night. We're going to record it.
All right.
Maija-Liisa, thank you. Thank you for your lived experience that has brought you to this point in your world, that you really are a wealth of knowledge, and that you can speak to I know what it's like to have walls up. I know what it's like to be playful and have that demeanor as who I am, and then to be able to build walls and to know what that feels like and to live in, and then how to start taking them down, and that you get to speak to all of that is beautiful. And I really do love how you're showing up in the world. It's that you're letting your light really shine.
Proud as a peacock.
Proud as a peacock. Woo!
I love it.
I love it. Kay, thank you. For those of you who Maija-Liisa, how do people get a hold of you? Never mind.
No, it's okay. She can do her own.
Yeah, go for it.
We have a website. Because Maija-Liisa is a little challenging to spell, I just call it mlspeaks.com. But literally, if you wanted to connect for any reason, don't wait. Just pick up the phone and text me, 208 201-7310. If you want to talk about TEDx, put TEDx in. If you want to talk about walls, put walls in. Let's connect.
208-201.
7310.
Okay.
Awesome. Got it. You're the best. I really have developed a love for you that just warms my heart, and I'm really grateful to have you in my world, friend. And totally looking forward to finish night and inviting people to be a part of that presence as well. Thank you for today. And for those of you who want to go back and listen to past episodes, if you want to hit the replay of this one, you can listen to it on the Righteous Rebels Facebook group. You also can go to therighteousrebels.com/live and unscripted. What she said. And we'll have Maija-Liisa's up there along with the ones we've done in the past year. They're incredible. There's some really great insights from those and incredible people, just everyday people doing really beautiful things. And if you yourself want to come and have a live chat with us, reach out and let us know.
Love to hear your story.
Would love to hear your story. Or if you know someone who has a beautiful story that maybe isn't as brave yet to reach out, let us know and we'll start having those conversations with them. But most of all, know that we love you. We appreciate you. We appreciate how you show up in the world and for the magic that you bring to it. Our lives are better because we know you. And yeah, with that, remember, be bold,
be brave,
be a rebel. We'll see you soon.